The mind is a strange and complicated thing. A person is fully capable of repressing their own memories if their experienced trauma is too harsh to accept. Many of my favorite titles incorporate mental illness in their plots, so I was eager to check out Repressed. It's a title about uncovering one's past in an introspective journey through the mind. With a shadow mechanic at the center of the game, Repressed dabbles in light-based puzzles. The story revolves around a nameless man who is traveling within his own mind. He has crucial issues that he needs to work out with his therapist, Dr. Linda Young. Though there are twists and turns, the story really lacks narrative finesse. It's a bare-bones tale with very little charm. The narrative slowly gets drip-fed to the player over the course of the game, through Linda's dialogue to the protagonist. The first major flaw is that our protagonist doesn't have any personality or even a voice. We never see his reactions to the revelations that get uncovered. Perhaps he's supposed to be a sort of player surrogate. However, these personal revelations really lack much of an impact without an actual character to react to them. If we're supposed to see ourselves as the protagonist, there's an obvious discrepancy as the story unravels the past memories of a faceless man, not the players. Even the sense of mystery is lacking, as the therapist often tells you what's going on. She just explains this guy's life story as the player runs across incredibly geometric levels. As a result, there's a real lack of mystique to the experience. The game even has collectibles that have significance to the protagonist with shallow flavor text to explain how they relate to our guy. Repressed lacks the symbolic artistry that titles like Yume Nikki and Zero North Zero West have in spades. When it comes to the gameplay, Repressed makes effective use of shadows. Unfortunately, there's a lack of good innovation in that regard, as the most creative shadow mechanic just makes for a more tedious experience. Your player character is in the form of a shadow, resulting in level traversal that has other shadows acting as pitfalls. Falling into a shadow just sends you back to a checkpoint, which pads the game out in the long run. There are these buttons that trigger parts of the level to move or rotate, as well as abstract levers that allow the player to rotate shadows. The ability to move shadows allows for players to open up routes that were previously inaccessible to them. Solving the puzzles often requires the player to either study the environments or just try different rotations in hopes of getting the right angle. Oftentimes, level observation was not readily available, and the player character's movement speed left a lot to be desired. As a result, I often just tuned the shadow's rotation angle through trial and error. Sure, if I could see the shadow I was trying to get past, I would rotate it out of my way, but if it was out of sight, as it often was, I would just guess until I got it right. Mechanically, Repressed is in dire need of polish. The levels are often maze-like, but linear. However, in the later levels, it became way too unclear where to go, and all I could do was slowly wander around until I eventually found the next place to go. The background track is this repetitive ambient track that quickly wore out its welcome. Visually, the levels all follow the same black and white aesthetic with minimalist geometric environments. Conceptually, Repressed is exactly the type of game that appeals to me. Delving into the repressed depths of the mind provide plenty of opportunities to tell an immensely profound and intriguing story. In practice, however, it's actually quite bland and uninteresting. Mechanically uninventive and stylistically dull, there was little that kept me engaged besides the passable rudimentary story. Repressed is a title that's hard to recommend for anyone besides those that are completely sold on the minimalist aesthetic, shadow-centric gameplay, or the creative concept. Thanks for watching the review. If you enjoyed it, feel free to like the video and consider subscribing to my channel. The original review was written for DarkStation, and I was provided a review copy. If you want more, here are some of my other videos. See you all next time, when I explain how my mind palace works.